With so many people saying so much, it's hard to find answers you need. When you're down, depressed, hopeless, dreading every single day, you just want answers. So I have a few ideas that might resonate with you and help keep perspective. The first idea is, if you struggle with finding a passion, try everything. When you find the one thing, if there is a one thing for you, that makes you forget how long you've been doing it. If you read a book but you can't seem to stay interested, if you study mathematics in school but you don't care after a while, if you tell yourself that you really love animals but you watch the clock in the vet's office, it's not you. You know it when it happens, because you'll spend so much time excited about this thing that you'll forget how much time has actually gone by, and you won't care. This thing is your passion. Whether that's something that lasts a day, a week, or your entire life, it's your passion right now. If it always feels like this, you know it's worth fostering in the long term. The key here is that our brains are wired to defend our body. And so we worry about the future. And the future involves time. So when we consider making choices in the present, it's always under this constant pressure of what the future will hold, assuming we complete that behavior. Therefore, if you do something and you don't enjoy it, and you find yourself actually suffering the awareness of time, suffering the conscious presence of time passing, that means that there's a dread, there's a worry that the future is coming to meet you. Now, of course, one would argue, what if you really enjoy what you're doing and you don't want to stop, and that's why you dread the future? That's different. That's not dread. That's not dreading the end. That's enjoying it so much now that you inevitably feel like you will not enjoy it when you're not doing it. But I'm saying, if you were to do this one thing throughout time, you wouldn't even notice time passing. That's how much you enjoy it. It's like they say, right? Time flies by, or time flies when you're having fun. It's the same general concept. It's the same idea, which is, if you enjoy this thing so much that you automatically find yourself not even caring about this very important thing that is time passing, because time is added weight to our biological clock. As we get older, we die faster. So because of this exponential decay, time is very important, and what we do with our lives is important to enjoy as much of it as we can. So ironically, when you don't even pay attention to the fact that time exists, you're enjoying time the most, and your life. So the second idea is, if you got yourself into a situation where you feel trapped in an absolute mistake, or that you've somehow deceived yourself somewhere, you don't know what's right for yourself anymore, and you consider making a change, but you're afraid to. You don't know how to move from this position. You're stuck in one space. My suggestion is to draw yourself a map of the Ikigai. So Ikigai is essentially a four-leaf clover with a center sphere that encompasses all the four outer leaves. I would suggest that you research what Ikigai is, and you'll find plenty of information. But essentially, it's normal to feel desperate when you're trapped in the nightmare state. When the environment doesn't resonate with you, you want to just get away from it as fast as possible. That's natural. It's also not wrong for you to take steps to change where you are. I mean, you were born into this world, and from that moment, you've always taken steps in directions. You never know how they're going to turn out. Eventually, you grow attached to things because you recognize what they give you, but this whole life from start to finish is just change, constant change. So don't be afraid to change where you are, because you're trying to achieve resonance. And in order to achieve the resonance, you have to put risks onto yourself. You have to take risks and put yourself into an authenticity, into a real version of who you are. Not comfort, not safety, not these false illusions, because to be safe can only be an illusion. because there's always a risk of suffering, of death, of misfortune. And so you're never really truly safe. There's just a certain amount of control in this chaotic environment. And that's what we enjoy, and that's what we call safety. So you have to listen carefully to the universe. And the universe is actually your attention. We treat the universe as this external thing, and everyone around us as external things, but it's not the case. Your attention is what the universe is. So what you pay attention to in this moment is very different from what people are paying attention to elsewhere. However, you're all paying attention to this idea, and that cumulative attention is what the universe is. So paying attention to patterns that occur uniquely for your life get you closer to understanding your unconscious mind, which is planning a path for you. So pay close attention to the signals that are around you, because they're reflecting where your unconscious mind is leading you. Interpretation of these signals is key. So be open to trying things that might seem like they'll destroy you. Chances are they're not going to, because your unconscious mind wouldn't take you there. You will have achieved for yourself if you can survive. So something that I struggle with is waking up with dread. I have a tough time at certain stages of my life. I've had tough times, and I've felt stuck, trapped in a nightmare, hopeless, feel like I'm just dreading every single thing that I could possibly do, paralyzed by choices, fearful that I've let people down, feel ashamed, I feel guilty, I feel less than. So I remember the happier days, which are waking up, turning on the computer, and starting up recording software, and continuing where I left off from the night before on a track or on a song that I was working hard on. I remember being up at 5:30 and saying, I'm here to beat this day. I'm up before the sun is, with a fresh pot of coffee and nothing to stop me from making music. I just wanted to get up as early as I could so that I had enough time to try to get that piece of music that I wanted, to try to express that feeling that is inexplicable. And it really, I think, the representation of human emotion and what we uniquely experience can be so well represented by music and shapes in sound, because it's what I hear and what I see in my mind. So I remember being out walking at night and designing emotional landscapes, key signatures, modulations, valence, arousal shifts of songs, the order in which they should be played, the rhythmic complexity between the sections of the songs and of the entire overall collection, all these psychoacoustical elements of instrumentation, cadences, expectation, tension, and lyrics, and meaning of the poetry in the words, weaving with or against melodic motifs and harmonic, sonic counterpoint is gorgeous to me. That whole process is just gorgeous, and it makes me happy. And when I go back to my beginnings, what brings me joy is understanding where I come from and never forgetting where I come from. Because when I was 4, I remember playing the drums, my dad's drums. When I was 5, I remember playing the piano in our house. And with 13, I finally kind of got around to guitar. At 15, I was singing my lungs out and embarrassing myself and my house with guitar and covering a lot of Radiohead songs. And then I remember in high school being in the jazz band, in musicals, and then in rock bands later. So somehow, some way, I always got involved with music. I never let it leave my sight. I never let it leave my side. It's like this partner, this passenger that's always been there, and I never had to open the door for them. I never had to let them in. They just were always there. So I never saw a paycheck and thought, oh, that's what I need to get in my life. I better go get that and put that in my life because that's money. It's just music has always been imbued in my system. It's been there, ever present. And that's how I know that it's passion for me, because so many times I've been playing piano and lost myself, eyes closed, practicing fugues, practicing my own pieces, practicing songs from video games, and feeling so deeply connected to every little thing, every feeling, every sound, everything, that I forgot and didn't realize that 10 hours had gone by. And that's how I know that it's for me. That's how I know that I'm, if you want to say, meant to do music, to at least be part of music. And the most important thing for me in music is the emotional connection, the emotional relationship you can have with music, and how therapeutic it is, and also how much it opens your soul in the most cliche sense, how it broadens your perspectives, and it opens up your ability to connect to the world, to the universe, to everything. But most importantly, to your emotions, and that relationship that you have with an audience member, or with people, or even with animals, is beautiful. And so I've never been more excited to use what I learned from school, specifically with music theory and composition. Everything else I've learned in school was interesting, but it never really had that pressure. I never felt like it was extremely important to be studying what I was studying, more than music, because I knew that I could use that information to better connect to people, to better my own work, and to improve the quality of my work, and to get closer to the authenticity of what I hear in my mind and what I hear in my dreams when I dream of music, and make it reality. It's just a tool that's helped me. It's techniques and resources that have helped me get there. So I remember hundreds of nights spent mixing music, learning how to shape electronic music and build samples, sounds, textures, rhythms completely from scratch and from my own impetus, taking experiences in my life and expressing my reaction to them through musical composition. And that's the thing that I always wanted to do, so I did. And nothing has ever made me feel more alive than that, than sitting back and listening to something that I made purely from my own mind. I don't know if there's any more pride than that, anything that generates as much pride in what makes me uniquely me. So again, what you need to do, what I encourage all humans to do, is spend time appreciating the spontaneous and instinctual voice that's imbued into all of us. But you have to open your ears to hear the voice. So just listen and discover what you lose yourself in, what you can do and forget about time with, because that's your passion.